welcome back to ICUBED, the show where we give advice and talk about and share our personal experiences and how we hope anecdote.
The show where yes, so we're very happy again to be doing this show today on this beautiful day. The sun's out in Ithaca, New York,
which sometimes seems rare, but it does happen.
Today we have a wonderful topic.
So today we're going to talk about how to know if you're in a toxic relationship.
I don't know. Signs of a toxic relationship.
Exactly. So
it's actually kind of interesting because we do these videos every week and she generally chooses the topic, which I forget. And I always have to reference her. And then we give you guys our personal straight opinions about it. We barely do any kind of pre-work. We barely do any kind of pre-thinking. There's no boards behind us that are written out. Right now we do have a little thing right here, but this is the first time we've ever used it before. And so what we're giving you guys is information and thoughts straight from the dome.
Yeah, from our personal lives.
We're freestyling this thing.
What we definitely can say is that we've both experienced and been in toxic relationship ourselves. Not to say that we want to categorize anyone who has been or is or promotes a toxic relationship as a bad person. Oftentimes we're not aware that we are in one or that we are promoting one. So I think that it's all the more important to identify the signs that can tell.
So with that being said, how to know if you may or may not be in a toxic relationship. Here are a few signs that we have been researching and been thinking about and have
experienced ourselves.
First sign. The first sign is that there is a submission dominance dynamic.
So what that means is that in your connection with that person, and that person could be a love interest, could be a boyfriend, could be a girlfriend, could be family. If there's a submission dominance dynamic, what that means is that one person A will take on the role of being the dominant person. Person B will take on the role of being the submissive person. And so in that sense, there's no equality. It's much more about the submissive person serving the dominant person and the dominant person keeping the submissive person down and away from their full potential. Now, we might not be aware that that's happening because if we, for example, grew up with it, say in a culture that really values hierarchy and authority, then we don't notice that inequality in a relationship is toxic, really.
It's this idea that there is an inequality there. Mm-hmm. It's one person over another person valuing your experience, your wisdom, your authority in a sense, and placing it over the experience, the thoughts of the person that has been subordinated.
And the problem is, if you're, for example, the submissive person, you don't see anything wrong with that. In fact, you try to shape yourself and adapt yourself even more to what the dominant person is suggesting, commanding maybe even in that relationship.
The second sign of a toxic relationship is the inability to see each other as individuals.
Yes, this one's a big one because oftentimes we're not aware of this. Think about it this way. For example, if you are in a place where you feel like you need to be in constant contact with this person, like you can't go let one day or maybe even an hour go by in which you don't talk to each other, message each other, check up on each other. And now suddenly it's about us. It's not about my life and my potential and my dreams or your life and your potential and your dreams. It needs to be us. It's one unity. That can often be a sign of toxicity.
Oh, my goodness. Yes. I kind of wonder, where does the thought of independence, codependence, and interdependence play into this, right? Mm-hmm. Because we know that if a person is codependent on a person, we know that that's unhealthy. If you're codependent on someone for your happiness, for your life, for your source, that's going to be an issue later on in life when they are not able to provide or meet your expectations. It's going to really affect and suffocate your own living and your own existence.
Now, there is a caveat that I want to mention, and that is sometimes what you could see as signs for a toxic relationship are just normal consequences of, say, you being very much in love with someone. And this is like your honeymoon phase, and you have the butterflies in your stomach and like, oh, darling, how are you today? Oh, I just went to class. How are you? I love you so much. It's a normal byproduct. What we consider signs of a toxic relationship, though, is when these circumstances or behaviors or patterns happen out of a place of fear or control. That's when it becomes toxic. Before that, okay, you're in love, fluffy wuffy, that's your little space you have. But if it's out of a place of fear or control, careful.
Careful there. The third sign, confusing love with emotional hunger.
What that means.
What does that mean?
So what that means, the exchange that you have with that partner in that toxic relationship, whether it be family or love interests, is not so much about exchanging love and building each other up as it is feeding off of each other, like parasites. When it's like, I need you to give me what I need to survive today, and the other partner is, I need you to serve me in a way that I need so that I can survive today. It's feeding off of each other.
So it's, in a way, a type of parasitic relationship. I am sucking some life from you. You may be sucking some life from me.
Yes.
But I'm not producing my own.
Yes. In fact, we're not producing anything. We're just feeding. We're not,
vampires.
Exactly.
And this is an episode of Vampire Diaries.
Vampire Diaries, indeed. I think that's why in toxic relationships, a byproduct is oftentimes exhaustion. Just emotional exhaustion, because something or someone has been feeding off of you and not pouring back into you, or you have been struggling to feed off of someone and you just don't get it because it's not genuine, it's artificial, you're forcing it. Emotional exhaustion sets in, depression follows, feelings of insecurity, am I enough, am I not enough? And that just creates this very unhealthy dynamic of parasitic toxicity.
It's like you're being drained.
Yes.
And see, the thing is I don't know if you guys have ever given blood in a blood drive. I have on a few different occasions where they take blood out of you and they take these, a couple pints of blood. And what do they say? Make sure you drink a lot of water, go rest, don't do much athletic activity, if any at all. Go home, go rest, because you're going to feel drained. You might feel headache. You might feel physically exhausted. But there is, in the same way that there's physical exhaustion, there is a mental, emotional exhaustion. And people can take, just like they can take blood from you in a physical way, they can take emotions away from you too. And they can take your life source and some of that energy from you. So it's very, very important that we be careful not to allow people to feed off of us, but also that we're not feeding on other people too. And being kind of checking yourself in that kind of way. I
think that one of the traits of toxic relationships is that the dominant partner will often exercise control over the submissive partner so that that person can get their food off of them. And the submissive partner, because he or she can't control because they're less, equal, they become expert manipulators, and they manipulate whether they see it or recognize it or not, because that's the only way that they get what they need to survive in that relationship.
Right.
So control, manipulation, dominance, submission, inequality, that just promotes a whole new cycle of unhealthy parasitic feeding off.
So our solution and our thoughts for how to fix this type of relationship.
And it's not professional.
Just
from our own personal
experience. Is take some time, if you're engaged or if you're experiencing these types of things in a relationship, take some time for yourself.
Create some space. Yes.
Whether it's saying, hey, I need some space from you for a second, or hey, I need this time alone. Can you give me an hour or 45 minutes, or so that you can get to know yourself apart from that person without their thoughts. And it's always good to talk things out with your significant other, but sometimes it's good to just know where you stand personally, how you truly feel. I learned this week. Emotions are indicators, not dictators.
Correct. Yes. So they shouldn't be dictating how you react or act on a situation, which is why, hopefully, even if there is a toxic relationship, the other partner will be willing enough and loving enough to give you that space. Right. Sometimes that's not the case in toxic relationships. Get away from the haze, because toxic relationships create a haze, and suddenly you don't know who you are, you don't know who you want to be, because it's no longer you apart from that person. It's you with that person in whichever way, shape, or form.
Another point could be to confide in someone that you trust, who can give you an objective view of the situation. Maybe a therapist, maybe a counselor, maybe a pastor, or a spiritual mentor and or leader.
A friend you consider mature.
A friend that you consider mature. But someone that you can trust. Shoot, write your comments to us and we'll send something to you.
We'd be happy to.
We'd be happy to. But let us know, or let somebody else know, you can get some objective information for yourself and to help you figure out yourself a little bit better.
How to love yourself and potentially how to better love that other partner.
I think that's about it for today.
Yes.
We thank you so much, fans, family, friends, for following, liking, subscribing, writing your questions down below. We appreciate you guys, and every week we want to make sure that we are
there for you.
There for you. Be sure again to like, subscribe, follow, share if you got anything out of this, or if something that makes sense, let us know. Write us a message and we'll be sure to get back to you guys.
Yes. Thank you so much. See you next week.
See you guys next week.
Bye.
Goodbye.